Welcome to Inspired Learning, the Path of Exile podcast with Badger and Yoji. My name is Badger.
I'm Yoji.
And today we are graced with the presence of Captain Ghazzy, looking absolutely swashbuckling over there. Ghazzy, how you doing?
I'm doing very fine. Thanks for asking. Thanks for inviting me.
What an amazing intro there. Donned with everything. I'm lost for words. Where did you pick up that gear? And for how many hundreds of dollars did it cost?
Well, the sword I got from I found, as you know, I say a sail on the seven seas of Ray class,
Yes.
obviously.
Yeah.
The hat I found from some measly trader boat that's sailed by. That was a pretty easy prey. Even easier prey. Found a sword in the armory of a 0 DPS ship. I think the captain, some kind of spur. What was his name? Queen 69 or something like Queen 68. I don't know. So I found a sword in his armory.
I think I've heard of Queen 68, yeah.
Yeah, so I got that one from there, and that's been working out pretty well so far, actually.
Amazing loot haul. That's pretty impressive there. No, awesome. I can already tell this episode is going to be super fun. But Ghazzy, thank you so much for joining us on this podcast. How has Heist League been for you right off the bat? How's Path of Exile going for you?
Yeah. Well, where to start?
Yeah.
TLDR, it's gone from, yay, it's a league release, reset and market, to why am I playing standard, to what happened to the market, and which I have pretty split opinions. I think it's good, but the fact that everything else in the market, except exalt ratios, are not following that trend makes a certain aspect of the way I enjoy playing, for example, crafting and whatnot, a bit troublesome. But I actually have been having a lot of fun with a lot of things, actually, not just the league start itself. And with the recent patch, I think Heist is actually feeling a lot better. So I'm actually enjoying a lot.
Yeah, I think the latest patch is feeling a lot better as well. I haven't been playing heaps on stream, but I played quite a bit off stream today. And I can just notice it just like, yeah, the rewards are a lot more noticeable. Have you played much recently since the patch, Yoji?
Yeah, I've actually, I couldn't really grand heist in any patch until this one.
Oof.
And I can actually grand heist now. Yeah, I used to like always crash
Yay!
during the first wing.
Oh, yeah.
And I did 2 grand heists so far, and they both did not crash. I got my loot, I got out, and I'm now a proud owner of several trinkets, as well as several alternate quality gems that are completely unusable, but I have them. No, but overall, I think in general, heist rewards now make a lot more sense. I think it's really cool that Vindiri now works. I didn't actually know. I was always wondering.
That was really.
I was always wondering because this line, like he has like chance to double rewards, and it's actually not a low chance either. But he has the downside of giving you more alert. And I always felt like the line read really nice, like double rewards. Okay, that's really cool. You just go for the reward chest. That should be really good. And I never really noticed any increase. And then when I read, by the way, he didn't work yet, I was like, okay, yeah, thank you for he was just pure downside until that point, right?
Yeah.
I was taking Vindiri on everything, Me too.
Yeah, I did the same. My first grand heist after the patch crashed. My very first one. I logged in, started the stream. I was like, yo, boys, we're going to go grand heisting now. We're going to test this out, see how fun it is. The first one I popped, I crashed. But I didn't have any crashes after that. So it's been really good. It was pretty fun.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. I think the general consensus, I've talked to quite a few people that, we've talked a lot about it on this podcast as well, Yoji. It's been very up and down, the patches and our experience with Heist. So we very much share that as well, Ghazzy. But this latest patch really does seem to at least fix some of the issues with it, number one, not being rewarding, and number two, just crashing all the time. Seems to have kind of fixed some things, so yeah. But
also,
yeah,
they introduced the new story contracts for the boss story missions. I actually did the first 2 of them. They were pretty cool. Like the story, I think the actual like content. I mean, we talked about that before. That the characters are pretty interesting of the league, and like the whole background is pretty good. And I'm really looking forward to seeing how those like story and boss missions turn out to be.
I've got a confession. I haven't read a single word of those new story contracts. No, I just ran them.
I'm a true gamer, if you will.
Yeah.
When I play ARPGs, I play my own rock and roll and metal music. I skip every dialogue. I'm there to kill monsters, loot, and craft.
Yeah,
So
I do have to
haven't
agree
read
with
it
Ghazzy
either.
here. I'm sorry, Yoji. Yeah.
I do actually know. I'm not a very big fan of bosses in leagues because they always feel. I want them to be breathtaking, but they always feel futile. I mean, hell, in Harvest, what was it? I think I think I got the record on the fastest kill of 0.0873 seconds.
That was
That's
pretty
how
amazing.
long that's how long I got to experience and enjoy the boss fight.
Yeah,
Granted, last league was pretty overkill.
If you're listening or watching and haven't seen that video, definitely go check it out. What's it? It's probably just called like Spectre Summoner Fastest Ashabi Kill or something like that. I don't know, but
I don't know.
It's hilarious.
It's just like a short clip of Ghazzy moving in, like spamming some buffs, done. That's basically how it goes.
It was pretty much my experience with my first Ashabi fight as well. I was playing skeletons, I think, and I just had crazy DPS. Just summoned all my skeletons, vile skeletons, and it was just like, oh, okay.
I actually
got
got
the
to
boss. Yeah.
I actually got to enjoy the fight because I was playing like a Mjolnir tank chieftain build, like the physical fire conversion Mjolnir, and my fight was a bit longer, but she didn't do any damage to me because I was like divine flesh super tank. So I was just like spinning in place, and she just teleported away, say like my fight progress. I was like, okay, going over there. Spin,
She has to teleport.
And she teleports away. That's the only thing. And she spawns like minions. She does like lots of stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
But everything looks like super unpolished. And I also feel it's weird that the arena is like the whole garden, and she's like this big. It's like really weird. The fight seems like super weird. I didn't enjoy the fight at all. I think Synthesis did boss fights in League pretty well. Those fights
Synthesis was great. Yeah,
they
Synthesis really felt
really,
like
really.
it. Because I mean, even with like a really solid build, like currently I don't have very good gear on my character, and I think I'm doing 30 million shaper DPS or something at this point, and that's after a few upgrades. But I mean, even in a low budget state, that build pushes out like 15, almost 20 million shaper. And that's a lot of DPS, right? But I mean, that's not very hard to achieve in most builds these days, to achieve those numbers if you know what you're doing, or at least have a plan for what you're doing at least. And those numbers just completely rips through bosses. But as soon as you came into like Synthesis, like you mentioned, it was a completely different story where the bosses didn't drop down immediately, and they had phases. So I mean, I'm against phases, but I'm also for them because they actually make you enjoy the boss fight for what it is, which I much rather prefer in many cases.
I think phases are done well in the Synthesis boss fight, or the Cortex boss fight. I really, really enjoy that boss fight. It's one of my favorites. And
I think
it's a
the
good,
phases
it's a
there
good
don't feel
DPS check of your character. It's like,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think the
I kind of
phases
missed sorry.
I think the phases in Synthesis don't feel as cheap because it's different bosses. It's not just like this guy going invincible shooting at you, but it's actually like you kill a boss and then there's like a phase in between. I think that makes a lot more sense and feels less cheap than some guy going invincible and just like laughing at you, shooting at you, whatever.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of missed like when that theory was released. It was quite a few years ago now. Like even that theory is ultimately a DPS check, especially with the trio fight, right? So that it is usually a DPS check because you would prefer to drop the clone phase before they get to do anything. But even when you do so, if you don't have an extreme amount of DPS, they still get off one spell each, which still gives you that element of if you get hit with this, you're gonna die. So you still have to follow the mechanic and dodge the stuffs, even if you have an absurd amount of DPS. Whereas when you go crazy, they don't even get their first spell off. But I mean, that's the kind of phases I think I would prefer in fights where even if you have a lot of DPS, you're still forced into doing the mechanics. And I think that would be nice because right now there's been too many things that would trivialize the game, similar to how the old school Uber Elder Cam's way Righteous Fire build was, where you just, with the Cam's Roost, you just ignored everything with a fight and just went in. You had to do the mechanic-ish because you mitigated everything. And then, I don't know, that's just so fun.
Same with like Cirrus fights where people basically become immune to the die beam, and then that's how they do it in hardcore most of the time. It's also not like the coolest or most interesting way. I mean, you still have to dodge the spinny beams because they stack up like damage taken buffs on you, but everything else is basically tankable these days. I mean, the meteor, okay, but that's not the most difficult mechanic. It's just like run a maze that has arrows where to run. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, speaking of bosses and high DPS builds trivializing bosses, We want to talk mostly today about minions, and that is one of the main reasons we've got Ghazzy on board. We were just talking a little bit before the podcast, we're getting Ghazzy on because he's the minion guy. Well, Ghazzy is known quite a bit for his minion builds, and especially in Heist League, the absolute absurdity that you gain through some crazy crafting in your minion builds. But more so, we want to get you on because of your expertise in minions and the intricacies that goes behind scaling them, how they feel, everything like that. We want to have a good talk about all of that. So the first thing that I want to pose is, how are minions feeling, and what have you tried this league in terms of minion builds? Ghazzy.
Well, I have one of my moderators, Tibaka Kaka, running spectres, and I tested out the Iron Mass, which is pretty insane for a single target, whereas the clearing is...
Yeah.
There are solutions to it, but neither of which I enjoyed, because even if you did solve it, which in my case would be, my opinion would be best sorted by dual wielding an Arakali's Fang, you still would prefer to use Whirling Blades to proc it, Cyclone to proc the hit, and if you're using that, you're still forced to stop channeling to cast a skeleton and then spin again. I didn't like the playstyle, so I went actually over to my Dark by Chaos build after that. But I have a couple of people in our community that has been testing out Spectre, especially with the Syndicate Operatives, that's completely gone under the radar since last league.
Oh, yeah. And I've heard there's this new one popping up, the Frost Point Sentinel. I can't quite remember what it's called. There's been some other ones maybe being tested from Heist League itself, Spectres. I don't know if you've heard much about... I can't remember what they are.
The Frost Auto Scouts.
Yes, Frost Auto Scouts. They're the ones. Yeah. Do you have any opinions on them, or have you seen them?
I think that if Syndicates wasn't in the game, I think we would mostly see Frost Auto Scout Spectres or Redemption Sentries, but I think Frost Auto Scout's actually better because of their baseline. I might be wrong on the numbers, but about 3,000 base cold damage, but they don't have fist damage, which is...
You can't convert,
but they're pretty good.
Really go crazy on the min-maxing, but I think they're still pretty good from what I've seen. I saw Ballard play them quite a bit. And it looked very, very solid. Very extremely solid. I think operatives are just from the scaling and how their interaction works, with where they trigger attacks from a spell with you can spell echo cheese it.
Well, there's a few other things with the Syndicate Operatives that we're having issues with. The Frost Auto Scouts, they're very simple. They're straightforward scaling. They're attacking their baseline cold damage, right? And that's fine. That makes it very easy to determine what is best to scale them with, how they work, and how they behave, and all those things. Syndicate Operatives, it's like a whole other world. Like you mentioned, they have a spell that is triggering an attack, which shooting three unique triggered attacks, which then all three can hit the same target, and for some reason adding more projectiles they shotgun, which is obviously not supposed to work, which makes GMP and Spell Echo the two best supporters. But Spell Echo doesn't work. They don't actually get an echoed...
Oh, they don't get the echo?
Really? Huh.
Nope, which is even more insane, because the way Spell Echo works is you cast a spell, and then the next one is repeated with that more cast speed, right? So it's tap, 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 tap. So since the echo doesn't work, but the cast speed does, instead of having tap, 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 it's tap, 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 tap all the time instead. So they're bugged with projectile shotgunning. They're bugged with the echo not working. They're also in a situation where we've had some... their projectile behavior is bugged because volley doesn't work. But it does, but it doesn't. The projectile behavior is not affected, so they don't get a volley version of it. They still get a fan spread, which makes it very hard for us to determine. Well, we used to. We've done extensive testing, both in Biomage and a few others from my community as well. Apparently, the Greater Volley and Volley have a similar behavior as GMP, whereas Volley is the closest to it, but Volley has a smaller, less damage modifier, making Volley superior to GMP in some cases, but it all depends on the player playstyle, because depending on where you are used to convocate these specters away from the boss for the shotgun mechanic, the GMP is actually slightly superior, which is also stupid.
Oh, man.
And then we have the other problem with them, and that's the fact that there are now discussions about the attack scaling support gems not functioning, and that in fact that is a spell that is in PoEDB triggered with attacks. So there's a lot of information behind these that makes this very hard, because the way the people that we have in the community that are extensively going through spectres, like myself, Lyra93, and we have a couple of others that I don't really remember the name of. So, we have Previ, for example, and a couple of others that are going hardcore in going through the information about these things. Yeah. I have looked at these spectres since when Betrayal came in, and that was a long time ago. And based on what we could interpret of PoEDB, which is the database-based information for those of you who don't know, for these spectres, the theoretical information we got out of it is that this is going to be fucking shit. This is going to be terrible.
Yeah.
So, and they were a pain in the ass to get a hold of. 3-second corpse duration before they disappear.
They're poof, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's terrible. Also, if you remove your Spectre gem, you need a Spectre Bank, because the Desecrate table removes them from the instance as well, which is also a bug.
Oh, wow.
So you have to have a Spectre Bank if you fuck up.
That makes it super annoying, right?
Yeah.
If you lose the Spectres, you basically screwed until you get into the safe house or whatever and spawn them again.
Yeah.
And get lucky, but then you need Spectres that would work with it, and that comes to that other problem with them. But it's like, because of these things, we never tested them in practice, because the theoretical approach was this is going to be less than mediocre. It's going to be worse than that, much worse. So we never tested it. And there was some guys from the Korean community in Path of Exile that did them lastly, and I could verify, comparing that to my build, which had the absolute best gear in the entire game that has ever existed for that build. And I would say that the Syndicate Operatives in a high-budget build would be 2, maybe 3 times better in an optimal state pre-nerf to the Redemption Sentries. And they weren't nerfed to this league.
Yeah.
But yeah, the problem with the support gems mechanic that we haven't been able to test if these attack support gems are working for their damage is that that has spawned a lot of misinformation in the community, even from prominent members. I know someone mentioned that it's better to remove GMP or volley or greater volley, which is not correct. There's some saying spell goes worse than faster casting, which is absolutely not correct. I've heard people say that the bone chill from Skitterbots is getting overwritten by their attacks, which is incorrect for 2 reasons. The first one is that they do their massive damage because they're shotgunning with very small hits, but 15 projectiles at the same time, which makes it so that the baseline chill effect can't go above 10% base chill with a 67% increase effect, which then is rounded down to 16% chill. So you can't get to that number on a juicy boss, or even a map boss won't get to that point. On top of the fact that Mark has actually confirmed that no matter if you apply, triple the chill effect from another source, the bone chill damage effect from the chill effect created by the Skitterbots is not getting overwritten. That still applies.
Oh, okay, that's good to know. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
No, the small things like that adds up. But I guess that's what makes summoners so complex, right?
Yeah.
So basically the test was to use elemental focus instead of vicious projectile, and the result based of testing was that we're doing more damage, and that the people have done this, the logical conclusion was, hey, this is overriding the bone chill, which is a fairly logical approach, but if one takes the time to actually look it up, then that's not the reason. But it would indicate that vicious projectile doesn't actually work for them. In that case, so that's basically how we're going through it right now, but it's still being tested.
That's crazy.
I find it really, really cool.
Yoji.
I think it's really annoying at times that you don't know as much about the specters. Like the PoEDB stuff is data main stuff. It's not values that we actually see anywhere while we're playing the game. But at the same time, the fact that so much testing is required is also kind of cool, because it's so cool to try to figure out and min-max these builds compared to where you're I'm playing heavy strikes. I link these support gems, done, min-max, perfect. You actually have to put in some work. Like back in the old days where you just had to figure stuff out and there was no easy solution anywhere. I think it's kind of cool while it's also kind of annoying. I think it's like a double-edged sword a bit.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why I enjoy playing Summoner. Like when I started streaming 6-7 years ago, I did play only Summoners for about a year, and that's most likely why people think that I only play Summoners even today, but that's not the case. But I liked it because it's like you said, it's not so straightforward, and you have to actually go through so many different things. Like an easy comparison is how Skitterbot's Bone Chill is vastly superior over doing a stupid thing like a new mistake of using a Profane Proxy, because you actually lose a lot of damage and effectiveness from it on top of the other stats that you're losing for not using Profane Proxy.
Yep.
And for using Profane Proxy, sorry. But it's in those situations, we're utilizing all of these side tools to get to the number. We're comparing Grip of the Council versus Triad Grip. And I mean, Triad Grip is better for Syndicate Operatives because they have 100% physical damage, whereas we didn't use that. We used a Grip because Redemption Sentries back in the days, or lastly, had a 75% baseline conversion, and using Triad to get another 25% by having 4 greens because of the way conversion works is not worth it compared to the extra physical that you get from the Grip of the Council. But Grip of the Council should theoretically be better, but because of Bone Chill, then Triad Grips is better, and not using Profane Boxes. It's just a whole list of things that have to add up. And the right ingredients to make the dinner, right?
Ghazzy said he's just always that meme of the numbers coming in and just like thinking. I'm sure whenever you look at minions, this is so good. Yeah, okay, no, so but I love this stuff about minions as well. Like my head does the same stuff when I go right into it. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
Yeah. So if anyone else was lost in like the whole calculation stuff, if a TLDR, what are the current somewhat agreed upon best links for the operatives? I'm just like wondering. What are you the best links, support links? Question mark.
Oh, it's actually very easy, because if you play a build like that, I would recommend using Frost Autoscouts till you have a proper helmet, because I think the Frost Autoscouts are better at lower levels than the Syndicate Operatives. But as soon as you invest a little bit into the build, which should always be the helmet first, then Syndicate Operatives are skyrocketing in efficiency. And the helmet links doesn't matter with these tests for 2 reasons. Well, 2 different aspects. One I don't agree with, and one that I would personally play with. And they're the links because the helmet should be A+ level socketed Minion gems with hypothermia and mini damage, which are both actually inferior support gems to what the other options are. But that helmet like that gives you a pseudo 7 link, bumping it over what you can achieve in a normal 6 link.
All right.
So the support gems would then be Spectre, Echo, well, GMP or Volley, depending on how you play. And then the last one is, in my opinion, for single target Predator, or if you have the alternative quality with a crit one, or minion damage, because they give you the same amount of damage as Predator does. But Predator gives you the upper hand of forcing them to be aggressive if you're dodging something. And then I would switch that gem for Feeding Frenzy for single targets, or sorry, for clearing. But some people, depending on how your playstyle is, wouldn't need Feeding Frenzy, because that depends on how you're moving through a map. Because their aggro radius is not super big, but it's almost your entire screen, whereas Feeding Frenzy extends quite above your screen. But depending on how you're playing and what level of gear you have, you might not need Feeding Frenzy, and that's where the problem comes in, because then you suddenly have a support gem socket open, where you would then argue between Elemental Focus, VP, and all of that, and that's going to be hard to determine. But I would still say that the Feeding Frenzy is so much better for my personal preference, and then I would use Predator either way. So that's the best links, and before that you use Frost Autos.
I mean, for clearing, you probably don't need that extra multiplier anyways for most cases, unless you're like doing super juice tier 16 plus maps or whatever, and like trying to really do.
I mean, a super juice tier 16 map, the fundamental baseline DPS you need for smooth clearing is about 150-200,000 shaper DPS, and one spectre stats.
So the last link for clearing probably doesn't matter. So it's not only about min-maxing bosses or PUB warrioring, I guess. That always works. Talking about Feeding Frenzy, I think I actually recently noticed, like, I haven't played Minion Builds since the rework all that much. I played like a little bit with Iron Masters League. Didn't really like the playstyle either. I think they got like kind of like the same problems. Like DPS was completely fine, like not an issue, but the clearing and the playstyle is just wonky as hell. It does look hella cool though, because the spectres do get your weapon, and if you have like a colossal machete with like it's burning or whatever, you get like these shiny skellies. So that was cool. 10 out of 10. That's like one. That was actually the reason I started the build.
I bought the colossal
actually
sword
the first one build. I was actually the first one to post on Reddit with a clip of them with different MTXs showing that it had it. But apparently, so nice. Reddit is, as we all know, a bunch of basement dwelling. And then, so that was downvoted to oblivion, apparently. Somebody linked it to me a few days after it was posted. It was completely downvoted. And then, like a week later, somebody posted another one showing exactly what I did. And there was just 2,000 upvotes, front page and everything. I was like,
come on. It's such a volatile place, Reddit. Oh. I have my qualms with that area of the internet as well.
Yeah. But
It's
Feeding Frenzy, I recently noticed like how crazy it can be. Like even normally aggressive minions get so crazy at some point with Feeding Frenzy. Like I was playing Dominating Blow, and the Dominating Blow dudes, they already have a pretty high aggro radius and like shield charge around. So I thought, all right, they're not aggressive enough. I don't have to link Feeding Frenzy. And I looked in Bala Mage's guy, and he was like, yo, Feeding Frenzy. I was like, why? They're aggressive. Okay, let's try it out. And they just like go completely off screen and kill everything. It's insane.
Nice.
They just like move like 2 rooms away and kill everything over there and come back. And I'm like, okay, cool. That's amazing.
Nah, it's really nice, especially with the Syndicate Operatives, because they shoot, all 1.5 screen away. So when they go super aggressive, and if you're not following them and they go aggressive, like just outside your screen, their projectiles shoot so far that they're actually hitting enemies that are, well, lack of better words, that are dormant, that are not attackable anymore because of the MF bug they had many years ago. Somebody killed a pack of enemies off screen, which was bugged out with Magic Find, and it just exploded in 1,000 quantity and rarity.
What?
Yeah, that was
many years ago. Yeah, I need a quick tour break. So I'll be back in a second.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, it's hearing Ghazzy talk about all of this all of this gem stuff to do with spectres and everything like that. I was like, I want to talk about it when Ghazzy gets back as well, but I was playing around with the archer skeletons.
How
from
did
the
that
alternate
go?
quality. Really interesting, and I
That
just
doesn't
haven't
sound
had
good.
currency. Yeah, well, no, it wasn't amazing, just because I wanted to get the build to a point where I could farm really, really easily, and not have to worry about like slow farming to get it feeling really nice. And I just ended up re-rolling into something faster because I just wanted to generate currency. So I might go back to it. But I was similarly playing around with gem links and everything like that. And being a new alternate quality gem, there were lots of gem links that you would think would work with physical projectile skeletons that just completely don't work. Some that say they're working and don't work.
Alright.
And then also, I think someone mentioned, I haven't tested this myself, but someone mentioned to me that multi-strike still works on archer skeletons. Which
the thing is that the gem tag doesn't change, right?
the
You
gem
get the
tag
alternate
doesn't change, correct?
And it still says skeletons, melee, whatever it says on there
Yeah.
now, right?
So the really interesting thing, however, is some things change and some things don't. For example, using volley or greater multiple projectiles, that's fine. That's going to work. That won't work on your
that's
base
good.
skeletons. But then you
of
sock it in vicious projectiles. That doesn't work.
Yep.
It just doesn't show up even as a gem
Why?
that's linked, And then, apparently
wh-
multi-strike's
wait.
working. Or like, it's really, really, really interesting with all of that. I'm not sure how
That
much
makes, like,
you
no
caught of that, Ghazzy, but
I heard everything.
you heard everything?
That makes
Yeah.
no
yeah.
sense.
Absolutely
Makes
no sense. So I haven't fully exhausted just all of the links, but like I want to go back to it because it's just either an oversight from the devs of just not correctly coding that alternate quality gem and it just not working with what you would think it would work with, or something's bugging with the tags of the gem. There's lots of really, really weird stuff there going on. But I didn't push it like crazy or anything like that. I only spent about half a day looking at that kind of stuff. So I want to go back to it, but yeah, it's really interesting. I got a feeling the Archer Skellies can get pretty insane. However, the other really interesting thing about them is their base move speed it goes down something like 90%. They're basically not moving, or they walk really, really slowly, which is a little bit annoying. But you are, constantly summoning them as well.
Yeah,
so that's that's the skeleton playstyle, really, especially with the archers. Damage was fine, very scalable. You just go. Well, what I could see was the easiest with a medium investment was just full fizz impale skeletons, really nice. But the gem links just made it like just that much harder to go. Like, do I really want to invest into this when some of the best DPS gems aren't actually even going to work for skeletons?
Yeah.
It's like, ugh. Yeah.
It does seem like an oversight or like a bug that vicious projectiles would not work with it. Because it does work for the Skelly mages. You can put Skelly mages, normal spell supports on Skelly mages, and they get supported by it from what I've at least played it.
Yeah.
Like you can put like controlled destructions, and they do more damage with their spells, which just makes sense. So I would think vicious projectiles should work.
Yeah, I think that one specifically is just like an oversight or a bug.
That has to be like a bug. Yeah. Does like chain stuff like that work? So if you put like a chain, they just like clear.
Yeah. That all works. Yeah, it's really interesting.
Isn't that like the name of the game right now? Like Heist League is more bugged than a Skyrim game. I mean, it's like...
Bethesda 2.0 right here. Yeah.
Yeah. They should just enable mod support so we can fix stuff.
Yes, please. Although in an online trading game, mod support's probably not the best idea, but when we get an offline client, that will never happen. That will never happen.
No, I think PoE is like the whole like economy based stuff does actually work pretty well. I think.
Yeah.
The bugs don't work that well. I mean,
when it works, it works. When it works.
Yeah, SSF, fine. Okay, yeah.
SSF community. I don't know.
SSF is actually really good.
Yes.
Like SSF is in a very good state, and it's gonna be even better when the harvest tuning comes in for the crafting. I think it's great. I think that for the majority of the community and content creators like myself that are making guides where I need specific items to make tests and whatnot, it's terrible. It's so awful. I don't even want to.
This economy's been ridiculous. This economy, yeah.
No, like people blame the X chaos ratio, right? Everyone's blaming the X ratio. That has nothing to do with it. I mean, we've had days where they were like 20, 25 C. I come from hardcore where I played for most of my years.
This seems more normal to me. Like as an old time player, this rate, like playing like say 70, 60, 70, 80 chaos already felt high. Like 50s to 60s felt normal back in the day. I mean, currently the Exalt is not worth less. Like if you look at the Exalts to, for example, Conqueror Exalts or Exalts to like items, it's not that bad. It's just the chaos is super strong in this league. That's I think what happens.
But it's like the Exalt's equivalent items like Awakened Orb, Conqueror Exalts, and the Exalt Orbs, and they are following the market because they're usually priced towards X, right? Whereas the items that are priced towards Chaos hasn't adapted to the changes of the market. So that, like I mentioned before, like I love crafting, and last league or any league in the last 4 years, an Exalted Orb would give you, depending on what you craft, but for many of the crafts I do, would give you between 10 and 20 crafting opportunities worth of chaos. Whereas in the current league, one Exalted gives me barely 2 tries to craft a Convoking 1. I mean, that's a pretty big difference.
It really is.
I mean, 4-socket Resonators, they cost almost an X now. I've never seen that before. They're usually expensive around 40 chaos, which is a quarter of an X. Now that's more than half an X.
Yeah.
And that's just the Resonator.
It's really strange, and like it's half the reason I'm still contemplating. I haven't done it yet, but I'm contemplating of switching over to SSF for the rest of the league. I'm just I'm torn between staying in trade to be able to try heaps more things out. Obviously, do it. Yeah, Yoji's already made the change.
I switched last week. I like played 1 week of or like almost 1 week of trade, like half private league. Then I was converted to a normal trade because I wanted to try how the build would feel on like a little bit more items. And then I did Awakener 5, like the first Awakener with all the Watchstones in on my Fireball, and then switched to SSF basically because Heist is so good for SSF. You get so many 5-links. You basically skip the whole feeling awkward and early mapping SSF part because you get so many good items from Heist that you kind of get a jump start. So like, you skip the awkward phase, and if you pick a good build, like Dominating Blow for SSF, I can 100% recommend. It's just slap stuff, huge army pops up, steamrolls map next. So far I'm like a tier 11-ish maps right now, and it's not stopping. I think my biggest problem right now is actually my weapon does so poor damage because I haven't found a good upgrade on my claw yet that I like getting the first white pack kill is just such a pain right now. So, like,
please die.
And as soon as like the first sentinels pop up, she's like, okay, I'm good now. But yeah, this is pretty fun. But yeah, talking about minions, let's stay on the like melee minion dominating blow, Herald of Purity, whatever. I think Batter, you played a crap load of Herald of Purity, right?
Yeah, that's kind of what brought me from no one to a someone in the community was Herald of Purity. I had a build aptly titled the Sentinel Queen, just a Herald of Purity Necromancer in Oh man, what league did I start that in? I started it before I started streaming, which would have been the first time I tried it was in Synthesis when I realized that Herald of Purity minions are actually absurdly strong to scale with. And then, yeah, just subsequent leagues just started, trying to boost them. And the crazy league was Delirium when Cluster Jewels came out, and that one league where I could get up to like 11 Sentinels of Purity that all had like 8 million DPS each. It was a little bit stupid at that point.
There was a cluster mod, right? That calls a cluster notable. That's like +1 Sentinel, which is I think now like just a Helmet chant that you can get.
Only the Helmet chant now, yeah. But yeah, so it used to be Helmet chant, and then you'd have. I think I managed to my final build. One of them, I got 6 medium clusters that had that on it, and then also it was something like. I can't even remember the physical damage reduction per Sentinel of Purity as well. Just made me immune to physical damage when I had them all out as well, pretty much.
Yep.
That was crazy, and the scaling of those minions and like Impale and everything like that really just made me fall in love with trying to figure out scaling of minions. But I guess my expertise on minions or my knowledge on minions is pretty much only in the physical realm. Like, I've only done, like, crazy physical Impale zombies. I've done Impale skeletons last league. I've done Impale Herald of Purity, but I just can't get away from the physical damage. I can't get into conversion, and I've never really done, like, spectres or anything like that much. But, yeah. Herald of Purity is, like, close in the realm of, like, Dominating Blow, but I've still also not played a Dominating Blow build, so... That's cool that you're trying it out, Yoji. Yeah.
I mean, Dominating Blow is always, I think, one of the more solid league starters you can ever play in the game. Like, it is self-sufficient to handle itself no matter what you drop. That's the good part.
It needs absolutely no items, no specific items.
So, like, I think that Herald of Purity is basically, in a trade league, I would always take Herald of Purity over DB. If anything, I would only use DB as a side minion, but then again, Arakali's Fang would be preferable at that point, personally.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm kind of using both in my build. I have like currently it's just a +1 minion helmet, but hopefully eventually will at least be like a 5-link +2 helmet. That I think would be really good. Because they really boost single target, which is Domblow is not that great at. Domblow is like insane for clearing. They just like, as I said earlier, they just like move from room to room to just like run around. And also in Heist it's really fun because now you have like both sides of the door. They're like stacked up guards. Like you bring your guys stacking up on one side and then the guards stack up on the other side. You open they just like run into each other, and it feels more like playing like Total War than it's like a heist game, but it is really fun.
It's so good.
But yeah,
does Dominating Blow, sorry, just quickly, does that have that's got a physical tag as well, right? Yeah, cool. And that scales the damage of the Dominating Blow minions with levels to gems or not?
Yeah, the level scaling is not as crazy as Herald of Purity, though.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing with Herald of Purity as well. Like, I had like
the level scaling is really good on that one,
Herald of Purity in the end game or something like that, and those I think still are overtuned in their level scaling.
I mean, most minions have about 7 to 8% more damage per level up to level 30, then it's about 2.8 or something after level 30.
Yeah.
But we have some abilities that are less. Like Dominating Blow was originally designed to be an ability that you did damage, and when you did a killing blow. But then they've added changes, like when you do an attack, and if the enemy is dying after you've hit it recently, then you summon a minion. And that just made everyone like, yeah, I'm not going to do damage. I'm just going to go in and hit it, and have something else that kills everything. And I'm going to keep my army up with that. Versus boss, I just want to hit fast. It doesn't matter if I'm doing damage.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean, you still like need like a baseline DPS, as I said, to get the first wipe pack of the map killed. And you can really get into trouble if you run into a map and you just like 2 exiles come at you. You're like, fuck, I don't have anything yet. So either like I just like dash past them, or I mean, if you keep hitting them, if you can like tank them, because usually like if you play as a guardian, as like I do with like block cap and whatnot, it's you're pretty tanky. You just like keep hitting them, because if you keep hitting unique mobs, you will eventually like spawn the purities and the normal side. But like pop, 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 and suddenly they start popping up, and then everything dies as always. But it's an interesting, but it's a very different playstyle from like most summoners, I would say. Just like having to actually hit stuff. And you can't cyclone if you're dumb blowing, because normally I think on a Herald of Purity you'd probably just cyclone as anyone does these days who's not doing any.
I mean, you just want to hit as many times as possible as the
Yeah.
bosses, and most bosses are trivialized by knowing the mechanics, obviously. But
Yeah.
by being mobile as you're doing full damage outputs, the Cyclone is perfect for dodging series. You just spin around in a circle, and then he's dead.
Mm.
And the same thing with Uber Elder, Elder Shaper, all those bosses. You just spin around them, and the boss is dead eventually. Because you never lose. That's one of the perks with Minion Builds, is that similar to dot builds, the idea is to keep 100% uptime with damage whilst you're dodging abilities, and that's why it's kind of broken that we can reach such insane numbers of minions these days compared to before. Because in the past we had builds like Blade Flurry and all those abilities that we did stupid DPS, but they would only have it if they didn't dodge anything. And the second they dodged, their DPS was 0, and you'd have to then calculate the time it would take for you to kill a boss and the DPS you're actually putting out. Whereas a minion build is like, oh yeah, you're doing X amount of damage. Well, as soon as you start the fight, that's the damage you're doing, no matter what you're doing. You can run around like a headless chicken, you're still doing that damage.
Especially now with like Predator support, or where you can actually have minions sit on the boss. Because before, sometimes when you would like have to run off or dodge something, some minions would like follow you because they usually follow where you click. But that was just like, kill this stuff while I'm dodging attacks. Thank you. It's a huge boost. But we just touched a little bit about on it with like the level scaling of stuff. When do you actually go for which ascendancy class on minion builds? Like when you because Necromancer does have the +2 to level of all minion gems, which I think makes it very, very, very dominant for a lot of builds. But I'm playing a Guardian right now because that's what everyone is doing on like Domblow builds. I didn't really think about it. I was just like, that's what people do. I'm just copying it.
Well,
when do you go for what class?
I think that it heavily depends. Like I do Guardians on any build. I don't care about the level of the gems on. So like Soul Rest, DV. I would argue for Herald of Purity to some degree because that's kind of self-sustained. Depending on the gear, I like doing the cold iron point strategy with it, and then you're gonna bring them above around 30, and having more than that is useless. And you benefit so much from the Guardian Ascendancy nodes there as well. But like, depends completely on how you're playing. Like Golems is one thing. Arakali's Fang, if you're focusing on that, there's no mandatory requirement for you to play Summoner because a Necromancer, because of the fact that you're not really benefiting from that +2 on natural strength node. But there are other perks from it, like the Flesh Offering with Bone Offering strategy is super good, especially with Glancing Blows. You can get max attack block without a shield and 72% spell block by taking Bone Offering, Mystic Sacrifice, Glancing Blows, and the one node plus Mystic Bulwark, is the node leading to Mystic Bulwark. So that's GB and 2 skill points that shouldn't be off from your tree to get 72 spell and 75 spell attack block. So
and the life gain on block as well, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Still
That's
confused that
crazy.
wasn't touched, the life gain. Still confused about that, but that's all right.
A little bit.
That's fine. That's fine.
All right. So what's with Champion? I think you may also made like a Sentinel with pink version.
Champion's just a flex pick. That's what I like to say. It's not usually ever the right move, but it is a move that you can do. It's something different, and like regular viewers of mine and watchers of my content know that I like to go off the beaten path and not just do a Necromancer summoner because Necromancer's the most powerful for this type of build. I was playing around with, and I think you did as well, Yoji. I think you actually started it before me, but using a champion with the Iron Mass to get extra physical damage from you proccing your Impales, and then your Skeletons kind of tripling that physical damage with the Iron Mass.
I thought like flat added damage is nice for Iron Mass, right? So I was like, let's try
on
Champion.
paper it's nice, but I just don't think it's actually enough doing like a little bit more of the calcs. And you get, your minions have 100% accuracy if you've taunted the enemies recently. That's quite nice on Champion. And, enemies take increased damage. That's cool as well. And if you're going Impale, you get a free Dread Banner and some move speed for your minions. There are a lot of minion buffs there, but the other big thing is, unless you've got like 2 massive large clusters where you're just having a skeleton tree anyway, if you're having more of a budget build, Champion's just not the way. Like if you're playing a Champion minion build, you're going to want those expensive cluster jewels to just have that skeleton tree just around the outside. You can pick up what's the keystone for Warcries? The instant Warcries anyway. Super easy along there.
Call to arms.
Call of War, Call to Arms, yeah.
Yeah, Call to Arms, that's the one. Yeah, it's fun and it's relatively, it's interesting, but I don't think it has validity over a Guardian or Necro in most cases. But it's viable. Like that's what I like to tell people. It might not be the best, but it's interesting and different and fun. So yeah.
I think that for the sake of Iron Mass, based on my own testing, I would say that Scion is the absolute best class for it. Without a doubt.
I was looking at Scion. Yeah.
You see, the Skeleton Sword, what it does, why it's so insane for single target is that the damage on the sword is not added to the skeleton's damage, which would also be insane, but not as broken as it is because it's replacing, which kind of doesn't make sense because the sword's added damage is kind of a lot less what you would expect out of a normal skeleton build, pushing the skeletons up to level 27, 28 at least, and it would still be quite a lot lower, but because of the inherited guaranteed triple damage, which overrides double damage, which rules that out from the screen to entirely, as well as renewal, cluster nodes, and whatnot. But the thing is that since you don't need that, then you kind of start to go away from the Necromancer and Ascendancy because of their natural strength no longer being applicable unless you really want that extra Spectre. But the Bone Offering is still really attractive. Guardian has a lot of perks to it as well, with the Onslaught and all those approaches to it as well. But you can still do a Scion Necromancer Guardian combo with it. And that's really good, especially if you mix in Arakali's Fang, that yet again doesn't really care if you have plus level of skeletons, minion gems. Just go crazy with Arakali's Iron Mass and go crazy with that. I just don't like the playstyle. Force you to stop cycling and do something.
It was tough.
What's Arakali's is good for is basically for clear, right? You'd like spam a lot of spiders all over the screen and they just kill everything that's not a boss, like instantly, basically.
Arakali's is great on like Herald of Purity as well. Like it's just good for like speed clear. It's really nice.
All right.
So you fix that since Iron Mass excels in single targets, so you don't have to have clear setup for your skeletons. You have Arakali's for clearing, and then you smack up your skeletons and kill a boss in 1.5 seconds. Pretty smooth.
So it works. Okay, sounds viable.
The one other thing that I was trying with Iron Mass and minions in general, which is really, really interesting this league, that I wanted to touch on before we move on, is the Divergent Rallying Cry. Now, Rallying Cry, for those who don't fully know, Rallying Cry basically is a war cry that gives your minions or allies around you damage based on the physical or based on the damage of your weapon. So it doesn't matter too much about attack speed. It's kind of just like the damage of the weapon, and it grants 100% more buff to your minions than it would just your standard allies. Now, the Divergent, which is an alternate quality on the Rallying Cry, gives an extra 2% more per 1% quality. So on 20% quality, you get an extra 40%. So 140% more, which is quite nice. But then there's also other items in the game or support gems that can increase that. But the easiest one, because minion builds need a lot of links, is the Replica Void Eye Ring, which just gives 30% quality. So you've got a 50% quality Divergent Rallying Cry, which is giving 200% more buff of your damage of your weapon to your minions. That coupled with just like a really high flat damage weapon, like a two-handed weapon that you're wielding, and giving that flat bonus, turns out to be 90% of the physical damage of the weapon, or the damage of the weapon. You can pretty much give 90% flat damage bonus to your minions just through Divergent Rallying Cry in a Void Eye. Obviously, you got to sacrifice your weapon slot as well there, which is pretty big for minion builds. But then the other thing is
automation of offerings.
Sorry.
No, the automation of offerings is one of the things that, like with the Iron Mass, you want to cyclone for the automation of it, right?
Yeah.
And as soon as you step away from that, the build feels really clunky because everything is about automating everything.
Yeah.
I mean, you can put the trigger on a huge Karui chopper if you want to. That does work.
Yeah, you can. But the other interesting thing, like I was doing all these calcs with it, I was like, let's wield like an Ulnatol's Embrace, that super slow hitting thing, and just try and give like flat fizz to something that attacks fast just for the memes. But then I thought about Iron Mass, and it has about, it's got about 200, around about 200 average damage hit on it, if we're not talking about the attack speed. And But then, the flat damage that you're getting from that's being tripled by your skeletons. And then the base attack speed of your skeletons is almost doubling because the Iron Mass attacks, it has a much higher base attack speed than skeletons have, which means that flat damage is, hitting heaps more. And did some testing, turns out that's kind of broken, and I think can be scaled astronomically with the Rallying Cry, which is really, really interesting. So if anyone wants to kind of push that further, I'm not playing it right now, but Divergent Rallying Cry Iron Mass skeletons seems like it could just have some kind of crazy, crazy damage. It already has crazy damage with the Iron Mass, but it could be pretty insane. Yeah. I just want to bring that up there as well. That was my little escapade into Iron Mass, but it stopped.
I think that's kind of like a neat little thing you can do, and I feel there will probably be some more tiny things that people will discover with like quality gems. I think there's still some stuff. I didn't actually take the time to look through all of them, but I found a few ones that I really liked. There's like a steel skin with increased buff effect, basically, which is I think pretty cool. If you just put that on left click, it's just like if you put that on like 50 quality. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I think there's so much fun in the alternate quality gems and seeing what you can exploit, getting some crazy quality out of that. There's the helmet as well, the new helmet that gives I think plus 48% quality, but it only has one.
The one with
socket
one socket that gives you all these crazy buffs to gem.
Plus 8 levels of the gem and double damage and that sort of thing. Which I think the only viable thing is probably for like a Herald build, like Herald of Thunder or something like that. But for memes, you could have some fun.
I didn't really look into that yet, but it is pretty expensive on trade right now, that helmet, so it probably has
the price of
some use.
Yeah.
Vitality though. Vitality is broken now.
Vitality is really good now, yeah.
I mean, it went from being the worst shit to being so good. Insane.
Yep. Can recommend. I played it on a Trickster while leveling, and Tricksters do get the 70% recovery if you killed with a dot recently, and just have a normally leveled vitality on my character, and that meant whenever I get hit as insta regen for the full while leveling, because you have a few hundred extra regen while you have a few hundred life.
So I have an aura bot with me.
That's pretty good.
I think I get 3,500 life per second or something.
Oh, that's so disgusting.
That's not even focusing.
That's very balanced.
That's just him throwing it in.
Oh no! I got a spare link. Let's chuck vitality in, hey?
Yeah.
Why do aura bots always have to make everything so OP? It's not fair.
I mean, it kind of depends on how you're playing. The group I'm playing with, it's we kind of go to the point where we don't have to think. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we can AFK no matter what build I'm bringing in. He's gonna sit there in an all fight at 1500 depth, and I can just AFK it, including the darkness phase. We just sit there and put a light down whenever, because this crystal exploding phase, we just sit tank it.
Oh,
and that's not possible without a really decked out aura bot. But it's stupid expensive to get to that point as well. So I think it's fine that aura bots are as broken as they are, because it requires an insane investment to get there.
Yeah, and organized play as well.
Yes.
If you are playing an aura bot, you can't really play alone.
No. But then again, we have PoeParty.com for that nowadays.
That's true.
Having more than one person in the same time at the same place, focusing on the same goal, that's a difficult task. So.
Yeah.
Especially if most of them are playing summoners.
Yeah.
you also need a pretty good PC to play multiplayer, right? So that's an investment as well.
Yeah.
Definitely not pay to win.
The game is getting better, although with this league that would that argument kind of falls down.
I was about to say this league is a bit on a performance and QA side. It's a bit weird.
I think, in general, over time, if we were to track the performance of the game, I think it has been getting a lot better for lower end machines. A lot better, in my opinion. But maybe I'm just out of touch.
I
You
don't
guys
know.
are
I don't
staying
have
quiet. What are your thoughts?
I have actually no idea. I mean, for
Yeah,
me,
yeah.
performance has always been pretty decent for PoE compared to most people, but this league has been like, well, I know it's not been very good. It's like really up and down, depending on patch. And we had so many patches with like crash every heist. Okay, now I just like crash here, now I crash there. But there's a lot of crashes still, I think.
I mean, it kind of depends on where you draw the line as a low budget or low end gear.
Yeah.
I mean, I have a graph card. I got a 980 Ti, but I mean, that card is what, 4 or 5 years old.
Yep.
Well, it's on its last verse at the moment, but I mean that's holding up. And I mean I don't have any amazing FPS, like 140, 150 maybe, but I mean it's holding up. I don't think that a secondhand card like that wouldn't cost more than $200-300 or something tops. If even that point, it's like super old.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's the other thing as well. With a game like this that's constantly evolving, you're gonna have some people that have almost no problems, and then you're gonna have some people that just constantly get problems, and that's to do with so many things. You know, different graphics cards, you know, how your parts of your computer are interacting together, and with the engine, whether you know DirectX 11 or the Vulkan. You know, there's so many things at play that it's really hard to just say like, you know, performance is improving or performance is getting worse, because it can just go in opposite directions for people at times. It really can. It's kind of crazy. Yeah.
That's true.
But yeah.
Yeah, but that's like PC gaming basically. You have so many different setups. It's really difficult. You have to kind of like some issues I expected, but I think felt like this league was worse than what we came to expect from PoE in the past. I think it's definitely like a bit of a dip down, and I hope we can get back to like smoother launches we had in the past.
I would argue though that it's not so much performance issues. It's just game bugs. You know, it's just the game, you know, straight out crashing or things not working. If we just look at performance in general, I feel like, again, like my machine's pretty good, so I might be out of touch. I feel like the performance of the league and the client and everything like that is really good. Better than it has been.
Rogue Harbor kills my PC still, even without people there.
Rogue Harbor does.
Yeah, it's whenever I enter Rogue Harbor, it's like, so it's a bit tricky for me.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Again,
want to go back to minions?
Yes,
we can do maybe a bit of a quick fire round through the minion types we still have left.
Yeah.
Golems, I think, pretty popular this league. I found
popular every league, in my opinion.
They're popular every league, but this league is pretty crazy.
Why is that?
Do you know why they're popular?
Yeah.
Crypt play them, right?
Considering the market right now, it's sparking up the interest of making currency the easiest and most boring way, which is basically AFKing things like Blight.
I was actually looking at the profits of Blight maps this league just like today, and I was like, they're just crazy. Well, they're always kind of crazy to do, but like right now, kind of insane.
Well, one of my moderators is doing it, and the other moderator that I'm usually playing with for the most part, he is going to make it make another one on another account. So when we're playing, he's just throwing in Blight maps on that character, and that's just AFKing it. And in the past, that has been mostly efficient by doing with the strength stack and zombie build, because you want to get that efficiency. But with the current league, the Carrion Golem is actually a lot superior for it and costs a lot less to achieve. So people do Carrion Golems to AFK Blight maps, and you know. They set that up and then do their work if they're working from home, or play on their main account on the other computer or the monitor or something.
Yeah, that's true. Every 5 minutes you toss in a new map and just like
loot. Yeah, and you get shitload of currency for doing nothing.
Yeah,
that's insane. All right, Summoners, very healthy for the game, by the way.
I would never do it. It's too boring.
Yeah,
I tried.
It's basically not playing the game. It's kind of like
no.
Yeah, it doesn't sound very interesting.
Well,
Zombies.
I mean, speaking of like playing the game, like a lot of people are doing things to make currency, right?
Yeah,
they really do. I mean, I uploaded a video yesterday, I think it was, for this with tips and tricks for how to do it. But it's like I usually profit crap over the current market. That's kind of so-so. So I decided to do one of the tips I'm showing in the video, which I never do otherwise, and that's just pricing the random liquid shit I will never use, like some essences, fossils, cluster jewels. I just priced them. And I went from like 19 chaos, and less than an hour later had 1,300 chaos or something. So it's like a lot of people are sitting on a lot of wealth that they don't know about or don't even think about or don't care.
Totally. Yeah.
So that's easy.
I always say like either use your stuff or sell your stuff. Like if you're not going to use it, why have it? But
exactly.
Or you can be like me and just hoard it and do nothing with it. And
that's what most people do.
Yeah.
That's what most people do. And then every league, you end your league with a full essence tab and like tons of blighted oils and like
my
all those
standard
like
essence tab is like just so full right now.
Yep.
Yeah, and just liquidating that to a currency that's used in trading, you suddenly have a couple of thousand chaos that you didn't know you had or didn't care. Because most people don't care about it. I don't care about it.
Yeah.
But it's like this league market is like,
it's true. It's healthy for the market if more people know that, like, hey, you are sitting on this liquid currency. Like, that's honestly gonna like kickstart the market a little bit more. The more people know what they're sitting on, for a trade league, like it helps. More people.
Also, more people selling bulk fossils, bulk essences does make crafting easier in turn because you can actually go and buy like 10 stack or whatever of fossil and not just like one from this guy and one from this guy and two from this guy.
If you sell in bulk, you price it higher because unlike real life, you pay more for the convenience of not spamming other people, so you make even more the more quantity you have of the currency. That's how flipping works. Yeah. In Path of Exile.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Flipping 101, nice. Wait, that's not a minion topic. Damn it.
Okay, we try back. Go back to this. Zombies, are they still viable as strength stacking Baron zombies or normal whatever else zombies they are? Still good? Can you make exploding zombies, right?
Defined viable.
Yeah. I mean, viable is such a strange word these days, yeah.
I guess from what you've said, so it doesn't really make sense to play zombies over Carrion Golems these days. That's what I gathered from... Because they're also melee, but they're not as fast, not as aggressive, have not as good clear, not as good single target. You get really tanky on a strength stacker. I guess that's
but I mean, you follow this whole meta thing, right? Like, I'm the kind of player that I love my Lich Screen guide, which is Skeletons and Spectres. Spectres only for clearing, Skeletons single target. I love it, but I would never play it anymore because I prefer pure Spectres that can do everything. So I'd rather focus on that because it's smoother and it's less to worry about. And I would rather do Spectres over Golems because Spectres have better clearing and more damage, and more cases cheaper for the end game as well. But Golems are superior in AFK Blights, right? And in many cases tankier. And then if you compare Golems to zombies, well, Golems are better at everything than zombies are right now. So why would you play zombies? I mean, it's just this list of depends on the tier list you put the minion builds at, and the lower you go, there will always be something that can do it better and cheaper. Or
that's true.
Plus other things. So why would you do it when you can do this? And that will be the question I would question myself if I went to play, a zombie build. I would question why I didn't play a golem build, but why would I play zombie build when I can play specters? So the list just goes on, right?
That's true. I mean, I think Skellies, for example, do have like a niche that they are super budget boss killers. Like if you want to really start out early league and boss kill, that's the niche, I think, because tossing just like 2 casts of Skellies at a boss will solve the problem, and you don't need anything for that. While Spectres, to feel like really good, you can get like started with Spectres that work with less, and then work your way up to the like really good ones. But they still need a bit of investment to like stay alive, for example. While Skellies, you just don't care if they die, you resummon them. Like especially in SSF, I would probably rather start Skellies early, and then like respec or something.
For Soul Self, and I agree, but not with trade.
Not with trade, unless you're like not like playing very fast. Like if you'll only play like 1 hour, 2 hours a day, and you get to maps like later than everyone else, you're a bit behind. I think then there's also a point to be made. But yeah, for trade, it's really hard. Like I think Spectres are probably a bit too good right now. Like from what I'm gathering, they provide so many options, and the top ones are crazy. But I feel like no matter how much they nerf like different single Spectre types, like last league there was like Redemption Sentries down a notch. Next league would probably be maybe the Frost Outer Skulls will just not be available if Heist doesn't go core, or they might be nerfed a bit, and then the Operatives might be nerfed a bit. Then like someone else will try one of the other 1 billion minions out there, and they're OP as well.
We still have the 500 million Shaped EPS slave drivers possibility.
Which are out of favor right now, even though they are still completely viable.
It's still so viable. And it does beg the question. They don't have the best. I was gonna say before, like it does beg the question, like how many more Spectres out there that are being completely overlooked from path ability. I'm sure a lot of people have tried lots of different Spectres, But no, PoEDB, like, you know, overlooking numbers or something like that, where, you know, where in the case like the Syndicate Operatives, like there could just be some hidden gems out there, you know. I'm sure there's quite a few more spectres out there that could have the potential. And with new leagues coming in, new summonable spectres from new mobs, like, spectres are always going to be strong. It's something that...
I don't know. You could just nerf the gem and fuck them up if you want to. Like, if
I-
you were like, okay, we're done with the
Don't give
spectres,
them ideas now.
you're just like,
I
okay,
think
that way you would nerf all spectres, which I
Yes.
think is not the good move.
exactly.
Because there are some niche spectre builds that are fun to play. Like, for example, I love the Kitava Heralds. They're not very good,
Yeah.
but they look really cool
Yeah.
and they're fun to play. And you would kill them with that as well. And they're not OP by any means. They
Nerfing the
clear
gem,
stuff,
you
but-
Best way
are
they could do it.
destroying spec. It's like you're deleting the gem. If you're nerfing the gem for the top end specters to be in line with like zombies or something like that, you're almost deleting the gem. You know, like
I would rather see them rework the gem entirely, so
Yes.
that you would basically, I don't know, whatever process to it, but you could choose which ability your spectre would be using and they scale. Then they could balance each ability by itself, and suddenly we would have a large variety of spectre builds being played. But now it's like, why would I use this when I could use that? Like before we knew about Syndicate Operatives, it was like, why use anything but redemption sentries?
Yeah.
There's no reason to it.
yeah, totally.
Yeah, I mean, what I really do love about the Spectre gem is the whole utility Spectre thing, because there's so many other options than just damage. Like right now, I'm using, I think I'm using one Drox Arena Master. They're like the shield dudes that they bash their shield and they give you a like move speed, damage, tech, cast speed, like everything buff. I think. To everyone around you for like I think 3 seconds base, and they just like spam it whenever it's up, which is kind of cool. I love that, and I think I have one of these big tall guys. They're like super loud and annoying, but they give you like dodge and less damage taken, so that's nice.
But
they're like
tool. Yeah.
They're like really annoyingly loud. They run around your hideout when you're in hideout.
Man.
I'm like, oh, shut up, man! It's enough. Holy
Like
crap.
I go to town when I AFK just to be online for trades when I'm fixing videos. I go to town when I'm using those specters. There's no way I'm sitting there. The only thing I want to hear is that little pling when someone's whispering me. I don't want to hear that. Bomb, bomb, bomb.
The whole way
I
through
hate
Delirium, when I was doing the
hate
Minion Builds, it like like making videos and everything like that. Like I was doing Herald of Purity, and I was running them like all the way through Delirium and the league before as well. But like every time I do a video, I just have to go to my sound, just turn sound effects down, goodbye, and then the couple of times that I'd like leave it up, it'd just dominate the video. I was like, come on.
Oh man, I remember the time when we used to play Stygian Revenants. They I think were like 1 or 2 patches. They were like the meta specters to use because you could give them. They use a barrage, and you used to give them GMP type effects, or like even Sire of Shards was used at times. But they have the most annoying effect. They go like every like half a second, and you have like 3 or 4 of them, and it was so annoying. Oh, zombies used to be way more annoying as well. So yeah, that's like a downside of minions for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, they have made a lot of things better for minion builds in general. Permanent specters. There was a bug that made Animate Guardian resummonable on death with a gear, but that was fixed because someone had this great idea that they were going to report it instead of just being shush, shut up, and just, enjoy it. We can now make squishy guardians. We can use Crown of the Tyrants. Come on.
It's like, hey, GGG, I have my guardian just die with a what's it called, Kingmaker and a Grothgol spell, and I didn't lose my Exalted Orbs. Like, after this is not how I want to play this game.
I don't get it. I saw the forum post, one of the first guys reporting it, and I did a comment on it. It's like, why on earth would you report it?
Just assume it's a feature and everything is good.
I mean, I love DGG. I really do. If something like that, please, quiet, hide behind the rock and enjoy it, and don't say it, don't mention it, please.
Oh man, very
desecrate.
Quickly, speaking of Anime Guardian, I just want to mention like 3 words: the replica Void Eye meme that I was talking about before. Facebreaker, Animate Guardian is very viable as a high-end boss killer. I was crunching numbers. Anyway, we can move on from that.
What? Okay, that's good. I have almost perfect face breakers on SSF, so I might actually give that a try.
Yeah.
In,
on paper,
League,
in theory. Okay, I haven't tested this anyway.
You could Starforge him, right? They saw some people kill like Shaper with Starforge and Guardian.
You can, yeah.
In Delirium, I made some plans to mirror service the best stacks in the game, in the league, actually, sorry. Which was the game, because it was better than the ones in Standard.
Yep.
To put on my Guardian, and then have Chains of Command, because I could actually reach about 112, 113 million Shaper DPS from it.
Oh.
But it actually never happened, so I'm a bit disappointed.
But
the numbers were there.
Talking about Chains of Command, did you see the replica Auro's Sacrifice?
I did, yes.
It's cold, right?
Yeah, it's a cold one.
Yeah.
I think that would be better than the fire one for Chains of Command. I think that could be
absolutely.
Pretty cool.
I mean, I prefer cold damage for the defensive gain that it provides.
Plus the whole Bowl and Shield stuff as well. That's quite nice. I mean, with fire, you can always do combustion shenanigans. That's also pretty good. But yeah, I think that's going to be pretty good. But animate weapon overall, is that still a thing? I think that's like I followed a guide once, just for leveling cold animate weapon. I think that was a pretty fun build to play at least. And there's also the Impale version. I think you made an Impale version of animate weapon. That was...
I prefer.
Yeah.
No, I have both versions, but I prefer.
I think you like the Impale better, and the dude said he likes cold better, and I found that like pretty interesting topic because I felt both actually have like ups and downsides. I think Impale has quite a bit more damage from what I've seen.
Seems like it's more scalable.
And the cold one, obviously, the cold one definitely is really nice for the defenses. It has corpse removal from like shattering, which is kind of nice. They both have I think cold is just like more defensive and like a little bit easier to get up because you don't have to get Impale across the jewels.
Yeah.
Yes. So animate weapon is still a thing. Do that weapons still die easily? Like animate weapons? Because I had the problem when I was getting to endgame, my weapons sometimes died a bit quickly. I mean, you can resummon them, but you don't want to have to resummon them like all the time.
Yeah.
Depends on the budget. I mean, once you pump the levels up.
I mean, if you go like double cold iron or whatever, then you should be fine.
But that's one of the perks with it, right? Like you push that up, and they're not gonna die. The only problem is that unless you automate the summons of them, then you're gonna have to take these breaks before they disappear to spam your blades and summon new ones, which is really annoying. It's an acquired taste, I guess. Yeah.
What I did is I automated the blade fall and just like every now and then like cast a few things. I mean, they do last quite long. During a map, you maybe have to recast them like once, maybe twice if the boss is like phased.
Yeah, they do last quite a while. Yeah.
I actually really enjoyed smacking in the guards, whatever they're called, the ranged animate weapon. So I just summoned my melee animate weapons, and then when I was clearing, I was looting, and I had the loot field set for it. So every now and then, I would just take some of the ranged weapons in a separate 4-link, and that just taught me clearing so effectively that I barely summoned melee weapons unless I did a tier 19 100% delirium.
Yeah,
that's cool.
So it was pretty chill.
Yeah, I didn't really think about that when I was writing the talking points. I completely forgot about like spirit guards being a thing.
Yeah, true.
That's cool.
Yeah, I always forget about them.
There's like so much minion stuff. Like we could probably talk about this for like another like 2 hours and still not have covered every single minion.
Yeah.
That's like one thing I still have left. SRS. What's the state of SRS? I saw Rise play it the other day, but he always plays SRS.
Popcorn or?
No, he did play normal SRS, but like just for like low, but only for like low map farming. I think on a Guardian.
Okay. I think that the popcorn build has been very popular for a long time.
Yeah.
And I don't like the playstyle, so I've been pretty tilted over it because SRS has been one of my first big builds I did 7 years ago.
You did the Uber theory, right?
Yeah, the first summoner in the game to kill Ubers here was with SRS first, No, actually, that was not with SRS, but
that's not with SRS.
Once they removed shotgun, then we went SRS.
Ah, right.
Yes. Yeah.
But get quite easily without too crazy budget about like 50-60 million Shaper DPS out of it, so it's not bad. It really is. The problem obviously is with the cap at 20. Maybe with Unleash, the clearing is they don't cover the screen like it did with back in the good old days with 50 SRS. You just went ham, screen with armor. Yeah, it's beautiful.
So good.
That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, it's been ages since I played SRS as well. I don't know if SRS has ever really had the problem like if you're fighting a boss, you know, it's annoying to keep summoning your SRS. Well, if you've got crazy DPS, you don't even need to. But like, I saw the replica Bones of Ula, the new boots, which I think just your SRS have a chance to replenish their duration when they hit a unique enemy. But I don't know if that's even needed for SRS. I looked at it, I'm like, that's kind of cool. Is that actually needed?
No.
I don't really think so.
No,
it's not needed. Like the problem with SRS is that they don't aggro, right? So they can't taunt, but they still take collateral splash damage and straight projectiles hits, right? So you surround an enemy with 20 SRS, and the first time they shoot a projectile towards you, whatever SRS is in the way is gonna die immediately. So you don't get much HP from them, which is why MI is, not that attractive in my opinion with the popcorn strategy.
MI being minion instability,
but I mean, Blessed Rebirth, that gives them 4 seconds of uptime.
Yeah.
4 million DPS each.
Yeah,
so that's pretty solid.
Blessed is really, really good. Like the skeletons and SRS, it's freaking amazing. It's so good. Yeah.
The only problem with like Blessed Rebirth is that Darkbright doesn't actually do it, so they still consume HP from it. Same thing with Darkbright not taking the energy shield from the skeletons, which is kind of sad as well.
Oh,
like when we play with an aura bot.
It only
with
takes
an aura
right?
bot, it's crazy. Yeah, exactly. And if you then play with an aura bot, it doesn't matter if your skeletons have 50,000 HP. You're casting so fast that they're dead in half a second.
And then you're dead next, right? Because if your skellies run out and you don't know, you're like...
No, the life regen from the aura bot would come.
You get the vitality, right?
Yeah, I could probably still sustain with just the life regen from But the leech is there as well with Glorious Vanity or Soul Tether, but Glorious Vanity with...
Soul Tether, that's nice.
Immortal Ambition in general. The later body would obviously go for the Huana Glorious Vanity version. And that's really solid. You have this massive leech, just over-leeching it, so it's kind of fine. But I don't know. I think the Blessed Rebirth should cover for Darkbright as well, to be honest.
Yeah.
But that's like the only build I prefer to play with minions that scales the minion life, actually, because I don't think minion ability is that fun to do.
Yeah. I haven't tried Darkpack. I gotta give that a go.
It's fun.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fun.
Yeah. It sounds
it's
really fun. It sounds actually. That was the last thing I wanted to mention. Man, we just keep having topics. We're never going to end this episode. But the Maw of Mischief helmet, has anyone tried that? I haven't tried it yet. Vex's helmet. Have we had a look at that?
I've theory crafted it for 1.5 days.
Yeah.
But
I also looked a bit into the buff. The buff is actually not too bad. The attack cast, but you have to channel it like while your minions attack, which makes it a bit difficult.
As soon as you have to dodge something, you have to resummon your minions after you dodge whatever you had to stop casting for.
Yep.
Put it on your spectres. Yeah, that's great. They will do insane damage.
And then they die. I think the way to is like minion instability type of thing. I thought about using it with the replica Arendel's Scepter, which has it's basically popcorn zombies instead of specters. The problem with my zombie, and then you could do like Siegebreaker as well, so you get like lots of on-death stuff. So you don't really use the buff; you just explode your minions basically.
But minion stability doesn't work.
Yeah, I didn't use minion instability. I used just.
Yeah.
You can still use the instability for clearing, basically. So you have used the Arendelles for clearing and the Bex helmet for popping them on bosses faster.
You mean like that? Yeah. No,
that's kind of like the plan I had.
Okay,
but
that would work.
The main, like how it all failed is that zombies are freaking expensive to cast if you link them up.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I basically planned the whole build out. I was like, wait, I can't cast my zombies.
What's the interaction with? Because the skill comes from the helmet, right? So can you cast while channel from that skill?
You can cast while channeling with it. Yeah, you should. I didn't try it, but it's a channel skill. You linked cast while channeling. You could like cast minions like zombies with it, but then they're like 3-linked, right?
Yeah. That's what I was thinking. Like you could still. There is theoretically still a lot of life scaling you can get out of that, but it's. I don't think it's enough. Yeah.
I mean, empower minion life, cancel channeling, and the minion. That's basically what you need for Dark Pact. Like you use skeletons, empower, minion life, and the fourth one is whatever.
Yeah, you'll
don't get any
cast while channeling them and then exploding them, right? If the interaction works exactly like that, which I think it would, but yeah.
The problem with using skeletons in there, though, is that you want to pump the levels of the skeletons, and the higher levels, you summon 5 at a time with a cap of like 10 or 11. And you summon skeleton. The cast while channeling is proc in about 0.3 seconds, but you're not ramping up the stack from Maw of Mischief fast enough so that the third time you summon something, instead of actually exploding your minions, they are dying because you're replacing them. And when you desummon a minion, it counts as if they're dying. And then they never explode, so you just oversummon. So you have to use something that summons fewer mounts per summon to then utilize it that way. So you can't use skeletons effectively with that kind of approach.
That's why I actually got to use the zombies. That's kind of like how the zombie idea popped up, because I was like, skellies doesn't really work. Our zombies don't have that high of a max, and the mana cost problem as well.
Yeah.
But you really want to ramp up the levels more, and I think if I would ever do like popcorn zombies, I would probably still use them in like a +3 helmet and not in the Bex helmet, and then as like it's a tricky one to make work and actually feel like worthwhile.
I think Herald of Purity is the best choice. Like you have like a ship minion.
Yep.
Yeah, because I mean, just Feeding Frenzy and Herald Purity with minions. So whenever you do a killing blow and they explode, you summon new ones because you just did a killing blow.
That's so
that's a solution, but it's still terrible because you still have to channel it whilst they're running to the enemies. Then you have to let go. Then you get a loot, and then you have to go to the next one and do the same things. It's super clunky no matter what you do.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a clunky helmet, and I really want it to work, but I think it's always going to have that clunk feeling. But yeah,
I think it has like 2 niche uses. First of all, it's like a really cool weapon MTX transfer thing, like transmog. I think it looks pretty amazing. And the second one is it makes minions aggressive without you having to actually have anything like linked. So you can put Feeding Frenzy somewhere else if you're like playing golems or whatever. You don't have to get the jewels if you're playing like let's say SSF or you're on a budget, because currently golem jewels are a bit expensive for like the low budget average dude. While this helmet is super cheap and easy to farm the cards for, but that's like the super niche use. But it does look, the 3D art in my opinion looks
very good. Yeah, agreed. Yeah, man, so much to talk about. I feel like we've scratched the surface and we're already pretty much up on time. If we go round, like, does anyone have anything else that we haven't touched on that they've been itching to say? Anything bursting out of the seams about minions in general you want to let people know about, or anecdotal fun times that you've had? We're nearing that end, eh? Yeah.
I haven't really played that much minions.
Yeah.
Just like starting out now.
Yeah.
I feel like they're pretty straightforward these days.
Yep. They used to be really difficult to make work. Yeah. And since
you remember when the Desecrate, the Holy Trio, where the level of spectres would depend on area level they summoned in, Desecrate level, and the area you're in after you summon them.
Oh yeah.
Whichever is the lowest of the 3 would always apply.
That was like, and whenever you log in, you would have to go summon your baseline specters so you can actually start mapping, and then you will like kind of like ramp up, go up maps till you find your specters again. Then you find like high level specters, and you never log out.
So people shared Shaper Realms. They stocked up on Oba's Curse because the last room is 83. So people did that, and they were like, "Oh shit! Okay, we log in. Let's prepare the builds. We summon the low level ones. We clear the map. Okay, now we can start playing the game. Half an hour after they started it."
And that was only after the Desecrate bug. Before, you would have to actually find the specters in a map. And because the whole Desecrate table thing we have right now is actually started as a bug. And when we don't realize this bug, basically all Summoner players started begging GGG, please make this a thing. This is not a bug. This is like what we wanted. Just leave it in, please. And they actually did. They actually made it a feature and expanded on it even, which is pretty good.
Yeah. Well, that pretty much covers a lot of what we wanted to talk about, and I hope that people have learnt something. I've definitely learnt some things, and I want to go and start playing minions now. Damn it, I just started I just started piecing together a really fast Blade Vortex farmer just to get heaps of heists and then do like a full week of heists. And now I want to go play minions again. So thanks for that, Ghazzy. I really appreciate that.
I mean, everyone is basically playing minions already, right?
Yeah, true.
Are still one of the most popular builds.
Yeah, they're very popular at the moment. Yeah.
They have been for like 5 leagues now.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
The hammer is like ever looming above the
I'm waiting
summoners
for it,
at the
but
moment.
it's not coming. I don't know.
They tried a few times, like for GGG. Usually, it's like a few times they try, like, okay, we nerf a little bit here, a little bit there, and like if it doesn't work, and it keeps, they will like do the classic GGG triple nerf where they like nerf the thing and everything that has to do with it, and their moms and their sister and their parent, and like they're the grandmas of the build. Yeah.
But it's really funny because they have made extensive changes to it, and many times in the patch notes, people are interpreting changes to minions the way they think it is. It's doing, like, take a Feeding Frenzy is an example of that. They nerfed the damage provided by the support gem to the minion using it, but they buffed the proc chance for the buff. But it turns out that if you actually look at what kind of builds are using it and why, 99.5% of the builds are using Feeding Frenzy on a off minion where we don't give a shit about what damage they're doing. They're just gonna proc it, which that got increased by like twice as much or something, which was inherently a buff for 95% of summoner builds, whereas for golem builds to some degree, but mainly for zombie builds, was actually a small nerf. And people went crazy. Oh, why would you kill Feeding Frenzy? And I was like, it's a buff. Come on, boys.
You just, like, if you slap it on your Carrion Golem, it's actually better now. Yeah. Just like your one off Carrion Golem, just like done.
It's super strong.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's really good.
I don't know, but it's like I always say this. Since I update all my guides that are on the forum threads, at least after the patch notes for every league, I've done that in the last 6 or 7 years now. And I get a lot of questions about summoners, and every time it's like, oh, they're gonna kill summoners, so what happened when these patches comes in? And I've always said that it doesn't matter what GGG do to minions. I will always make sure that there will be minion builds people can play for the end game. There will always be that in the community. So that's something I've taken upon myself.
I mean, we played minion builds when there was zero support for minion builds, basically. And everything had to be scraped together, and they still were viable, and you could still do content. It was much harder, though, and a lot less convenient. But I don't think they will go back to, like, nerfing them completely out of the meta, just because it's a popular archetype in any ARPG. Some people just like playing minion builds, summoner builds, necromancer type builds.
It goes hand in hand with Cyclone, right? Those two will always be functional.
I think so as well.
It's definitely an archetype that it's not going anywhere. Like, some balance might come through, but like it's going to be strong. It's a part of the game, and I know a lot of people, as you were saying, Yoji, like there's a lot of people that play minions and only minions, and if minions weren't viable in the game, they probably wouldn't play Path of Exile. It's an archetype that's not going anywhere. So we can probably be pretty safe in saying that minions are here to stay. So definitely play minions, or take the time to learn more about minions and see if you enjoy the playstyle. You might not if you've never played them before, but definitely go for it. It's pretty fun. Yeah, but that's all we have time for this episode. That was a good fun one. Right before we finish up, Ghazzy, do you have anything? What's going on with you at the moment? I'll give you a chance to plug your stream, plug what you're doing. If you got any cool projects coming out soon or anything like that, go for it.
Yeah. Baldur's Gate 3. Some of you guys that are not, Gen Z kids out there, you should probably not be playing PoE anyways. So. Most of you guys know what Baldur's Gate, Icewind Dale, Neverwinter Nights, all of these games are, right? And I grew up with that. So Baldur's Gate 3 came out with an extremely high price tag of $60 for early access. Terrible price, but the studio is confident for me. So I'm doing that. It's only Act 1. Multiplayer is terrible, by the way. Don't start with that. Just play solo. Spent about 7 hours today. I'm towards the end of the act that is available. So that's what I'll be doing tomorrow on twitch.tv/GazzyTV. Hired a new editor from a YouTube channel. First video uploaded yesterday. Some minor hiccups on the video, but for the most part, a lot better than what I usually do. So there's going to be some really good quality on my YouTube video coming out, a YouTube channel coming out. because I'm not doing it. I just sent him the footage.
Finally, some quality content creation.
Yeah. So yeah, I did that. So he's taken everything, but he's taken over. Not
Nice.
hacked like they did earlier this year. So,
that actually did happen. Yeah, that was
Yeah.
the thing.
Yeah,
Oh,
I'm
that
so
was
glad you
terrible.
got everything back, dude. Well,
well,
pretty
yeah,
much.
well,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now he gave
Yeah.
it away again,
yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
yeah, but in a good sense this time. No, but that's happening as well. So you
Yeah.
comments on Ghazzy TV, blah blah blah, right?
Mm.
But yeah, having a lot of fun with PvE. I'm probably gonna push up some grind heists either tomorrow. Well, sorry, not tomorrow, but on Friday. Because there's a pretty effective way to make shit occurrence with the grind heist by getting a very juiced up specific grind heist that you can go for with the reward structure, and then you just copy it with some fossils, and then you juice it up, and then you run that, and you get about 1,000, maybe 1,200 chaos per grand heist, which you can do in like 15 minutes. So that shouldn't be too hard to get. But I mean, I don't know. I'm kind
Trade
of bored.
League exploits, heck yeah.
I mean, like 3,000-4,000 Exaltus lastly. It's
Yeah.
It can makes the game very boring. So
SSF,
I've been
by the
taking
way.
yeah, and that's something I'm very envious for you guys playing Stella's Alpha, and because I will have a hard time enjoying it. That's why I haven't done it, and I think it's I would enjoy it much more if I could get past the idea of Stella's Alpha.
Yeah.
Because it's more of a challenge, and you're having more fun with it. So I think that's really good. But I've been making a lot of videos and stuff like that. That can be expected in the coming days and weeks from me, at least, especially when it comes to currency making, because I think it's a very easy thing to do. And so I'm going to make sure that more people get that knowledge so they can also have that fun for those of you who haven't had these excessive amount of currency, which is not hard to get if you know what you're doing. So I'm trying to provide that knowledge. But that's basically it.
Heck yeah, that sounds great. You know, well, I'll be tuning in. I've been so out of this league in terms of currency making. So any tips I can get,
I can recommend tuning into the Baldur's Gate as well, because there's a Twitch extension where chat votes on stuff, and I've been sabotaging Ghazzy like all day today, like while I was editing videos. We almost got him to give an eyeball to an hag. It's all I'm.
Oh god!
Like, almost
I
that
might
close.
actually be streaming
close.
Boulders like right after this as well. So if you're watching live, we might play like a little bit of PoE. Yeah, I'm not going to be ending streams straight away. I'm going to be staying. Different schedule. What the heck? Yeah, we might actually play some Baldur's Gate later as well, which will be pretty fun. Because I'm a very young millennial, and I have not grown up with the previous Baldur's Gate and Neverwinter Nights and everything like that. So, but I'm very much into D&D and everything like that. So, you know, I have some concept of what it's all about. I'm not fully new. Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, at least you're not a Gen C
yeah.
generation, right? So that's okay.
Yes, yeah. At least I'm not there. Yeah.
All right.
No, thank you so much for coming, Ghazzy. And we're pretty much gonna end it there. Yeah. Anything else you need to say, Yoji? You're good. Looked like you were about to
check
say
out the
something
audio only versions as well.
Oh yeah, of course.
We have,
Yeah. How did I miss that?
Spotify, Deezer, Stitcher, Apple Podcasts, all that crap.
Yeah.
Stuff
and some
that you can
others
listen
that
to while
probably
you're
draw from those, you know. And if anyone is, you know, listening to this on YouTube or listening to this on like Spotify, watching the VOD, or listening live right now, if you have a podcasting application that you want to see the podcast on it's not on, then message either Yoji or I through, you know, or even comment on YouTube or anything like that. Let us know. We want to make this available to as many people as we can. So, yeah. But at the moment, all major podcasting applications should be up within 24 hours and on Yoji's YouTube channel. But that's it from us. We will be back, if you're watching live, very quick kind of like post-stream, like we always do, just answer some chat questions. So we'll talk to you soon, chat. But that's it. And as always, stay sane.
Stay sane.
Exiles.